welcome to the 37th Annual ArtBLINK Gala. Thank you so much for joining our virtual party tonight. We wish that we could all be together, but we want to do our part in keeping everyone safe. So until things are truly back to normal, we've planned a special program for you tonight. A look at the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center's past, present, and future, along with some amazing artists and artwork that you'll want to bid on before the end of the night. More details to come on that. We're here at this beautiful Birmingham gem, Dread River Distilling Company. It's a perfect place to raise a glass and celebrate 50 years of cancer care in the Magic City. But before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge that we would be nowhere without our outstanding doctors, nurses, researchers, and staff at UAB and the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center, who continue to care for this community so well. We thank you. And we'd also like to take a moment to thank our generous presenting sponsors who make this evening possible. Autotech, Edward Chevrolet, Protective Life Corporation, Regions Bank, Southern Sky Aviation, Thomas E. Jernigan Foundation, UAB and UAB Medicine, and Vulcan Value Partners. With that, I'm excited to introduce our MC for the evening, the wonderful J.J. Pruitt.
Thank you, Dr. Schleckman. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a wonderful program for you this evening. We'll hear about highlights at the O'Neal from this past year, learn about new advancements taking place, and honor one of Birmingham's most treasured families, Janie and David Brown. We will celebrate 25 years of community outreach and engagement and share a story of a grateful couple who both received life-saving treatment at the O'Neal. We'll reflect on 50 years of excellence in cancer care and research, because yes, the O'Neal Cancer Center is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and focus on what will carry us into the next 50 years. And as always, we'll watch in awe as our talented local artists create wonderful works of art just for this event. Speaking of these special works, did you know that you can own one or more of these pieces? I need you to do me a favor. I need you to get out your phones and let's register to bid on these pieces together. Okay, I am sending a text to 72727. I'm gonna put the word ArtBLINK. It doesn't matter if it's capital or lowercase, and you press send. As you can see, they texted me back. Now I'm gonna visit the link, I'm gonna put in my details, and now I am registered to go. How easy was that? Bidding is open and ready to go, and it's gonna be open until 10 p.m. tonight. It's gonna be a tight finish, so keep checking in on your favorite piece. All proceeds go to the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center, so bid, bid, bid. All right, now let's meet a few of our artists and see what masterpieces they've dreamed up.
I'm Melissa Payne Baker, and I'm from Atlanta, and I've been painting professionally for about 15 years. And I'm so blessed that I get opportunities to give back through my art. And with ArtBLINK, Vicki Denneberg, a fellow artist and dear friend, she got me involved, and it's been amazing. And this is my 8th year. My approach is more abstract in my work. I layer on paint with palette knives, and then I soften it with brushes. And I do just layer on different colors until I find that the composition and the movement's just right. The piece I'm painting today is a 48 by 36, and I plan for it to be a floral in a glass vase. And I was thinking about it earlier, but I want to call it support, because the roots of a plant support the plant, the water in the vase supports the plant, the stem supports the flowers, and it's just like with Comprehensive Cancer Center, they support the patients and the families, and ArtBLINK supports the Comprehensive Cancer Center and the arts. While I paint at ArtBLINK, I love when people come up to me and say they love the colors and it makes them so happy. And also my florals, people just love those. I believe that art just makes you happy, and I think it's so personal. When you love a piece of art, that's when you know it's the right one for you.
People ask me all the time if I know what I'm going to paint and how does it happen, but a lot of times my mistakes are my best paintings because it pushes me in another direction. All of y'all who know me, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and I don't know sometimes what I'm going to do. I just start painting, and sometimes it's an abstract, it might be a floral, might be I love to do figures. I might do figures today, but I haven't decided yet. But it is real inspirational to have someone say, can you get us a painting in 90 minutes? So I'm looking forward to it. My style is 100% palette knife painter. It gives a very impressionistic, funky style, and a lot of people tell me my work is real happy or makes them smile. I think the colors that I use are also important. I have lots of people say, well, aren't you afraid that somebody's gonna copy you? And I just say, you know what? I can't copy myself. So absolutely, everybody watch and everybody feel free to copy.
My name is Joey Longoria. Grew up in Houston, Texas, where I think I got my big art breakthrough when I was in 7th grade. Houston, known for cowboys and rodeos, they still do, a big Houston livestock show and rodeo that also has an art contest. So I did the space shuttle pulling a locomotive engine, and I got 3rd place in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and I thought I was this amazing artist because I had done this really cool thing. Truthfully, it was a horrible drawing. It was just a really cool concept. So, but anyway, that's when I started drawing, started painting. I ended up going to architecture school, had my architecture degree. And while I was at school at Auburn, that's really where I think I developed my love for painting. The last about year and a half, I've been working with a blown glass artist out of Tuscaloosa. So she is doing art pieces out of blown glass, and I'm incorporating those into my work. So I've taken a little bit of deviation. I used to do a lot of buildings, a lot of things for my travels. So I'll do a lot of art pieces from my sketches. But lately I've been incorporating these, I guess, more whimsical pieces with this blown glass, and it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun for me, which is important because I feel like if I'm having fun and enjoying what I'm doing, then that's gonna come through my work. Today, I will be working on a portrait of Betty White. Didn't know I was gonna do this until about 2 days ago. My wife and I were going through some old photos of her. She's a huge Betty White fan. And I saw her in this gown, like this debutante ball-looking gown. And it was just really gorgeous, and it was really pretty. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I knew that I had some blown glass pieces that I could incorporate into that. So that's what I'm gonna do. Whether or not I can pull it off is a whole nother story, but that's what I'm currently working on right now. I don't know if I have a huge philosophy other than to enjoy what I'm doing, because I think what you do as an artist on canvas or wood or whatever it is you're doing, that comes out, and I think people see that in the work.
My name is Linda Ellen Price. I'm a professional painter. I've been painting 20 plus years. I'm painting a couple of children with a little dog, and they're sisters. It's a very loosely, off the top of my head, totally created as I work. No photographs, no posing, no model. So I enjoy that sort of painting because I'm a portrait painter, and that is so disciplined. Very disciplined when you're doing a portrait of someone. So when I'm doing my creative work, I just like it all loose and spontaneous and totally imaginative. I enjoy portraiture because you get someone's likeness, and it is just wonderful to make them come alive on a piece of canvas. I support O'Neill because of the miraculous results I've seen multiple times. Cures, people who have a whole new life. It's been absolutely stunning to see.
I'm Vicki Denneberg, and I live here in Birmingham. I got led to art 20 years ago. My boys were older. I was bored, and so I started taking art classes. And my art just evolved. My style is a style that's a little more trendy. I tend to paint what designers are using in homes, and that's just what I'm attracted to and drawn to. So my style, my color palette may change a lot with the trends, and that's just who I am as an artist. Today you're going to see me play with 48 by 48 large canvas, an abstract, neutral tones, pretty simplistic, something that I feel a designer would use in their project, and it's gonna be perfect over a fireplace or over a buffet. I think every room should have an abstract, even if it's a traditional home. I think you should mix modern and tradition, and I think it's going to be a piece that's timeless.
Can't wait to see it.
Me either. One thing that is so special about participating in ArtBLINK is the relationship that I have with most all of the artists. We've painted together for years. We do a lot of the same shows together. We travel together. So to come together and do this for such a great cause with great friends is just very special.
How do you want people to engage with your pieces?
I want people to love my pieces, and I want people to want another piece and another. I mean, duh.
Oh, hey there. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. We hope you're enjoying the lovely meal Chef K and Cafe is prepared for you. Now, we'd love to see where everyone is enjoying ArtBLINK from, so be sure to follow the O'Neill Cancer Center on Facebook and Instagram, and tag us in your photos using the hashtag #VirtualArtBLINK. Now, as Dr. Schleckman mentioned earlier, we're celebrating the O'Neill Cancer Center's 50th anniversary. Before we take you down memory lane, let's hear from Dr. Schleckman and a few Cancer Center faculty members about what makes the O'Neill so special and what they have been up to over the last year.
There are many exciting things that are going on now at the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center in the areas of research and outreach. To name a few, over the past year that really have started to develop at the O'Neill, I would include lots of investigation into the mechanistic basis of resistance to certain types of cancer therapies, and in particular, the new immunotherapies. We have a very robust program in cancer imaging, which is really at the leading edge of cancer imaging research. Of course, some of the other very exciting things that happen are the naming of the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, our renewal of the Cancer Center Support Grant, which will continue our support from the NCI for 55 years, and that renewal occurred with the highest rating that we've received in the last 50 years.
UAB has sought to bring, in many ways, the world and its best of the world from healthcare to our state. And we've done that through the talent we've brought here, who found Alabama to be home, and we've brought it through the resources that exist across the globe, but often weren't in our state. That began in the legacy of this cancer center being one of the first 8 comprehensive cancer centers in the country. The paradigm of UAB is to step into places where you don't necessarily think that our state has opportunity. We provide we fill in the gap where there are needs and care opportunities, complicated care models for surgery and transplantation and cancer. We provide that extend beyond what may be the traditional view of economics of our state to provide what we think are some of the best opportunities in the country. We're proud of that. We have to continually make sure those around us realize the value we bring. And I think that is in more ways than one how the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center fits into the broader vision of what UAB means to Alabama and the Deep South.
At the O'Neal, we are engaged in cutting-edge, innovative research, research that allows us to make the leap and transcend into the area of translational research such that it eventually impacts patients. And a lot of this is made possible through donor dollars that go directly into research and or clinical trial operations. And I can speak for myself. My research lab trains students as well as postdoctoral fellows, and we work in the area of the tumor immune microenvironment, particularly in the context of breast cancer. We've begun making strides a few years ago in trying to change or reprogram the immune cells in breast cancer and change their portfolio from being tumor promoting to being tumor killing. And it is a compilation of several of these strides that have now made it possible for us to achieve research that stands very much at the cusp of translation.
So I'm a nutrition scientist, and what I'm really excited about is our Amplify project. That is a project that's recruiting 652 cancer survivors across the nation to help improve their diet, their physical activity, and their weight status. Perhaps you know that obesity is a risk factor for 13 different cancers. And if we can help people get their weight down to a manageable goal and then maintain that weight, perhaps we can help them have a better prognosis and avoid a second cancer in the future.
One of the things that I'm really excited about is our strategic plan. So this is a participatory effort that involved all the members of the O'Neal, and which is going to set the stage for the work that we're going to do over the next 5 years and beyond. And I think if we're successful with this, we're going to make a huge difference in terms of our knowledge of cancer and our ability to provide care for patients with cancer.
I'm really excited about new clinical trials with new molecular imaging agents, and right now we're starting to do a number of first-in-human clinical trials. That means UAB is the first place that we can really bring this new technology to bear on really cool science and cool activities and really better understand the molecular mechanisms of cancer and how to predict response to targeted treatment.
I'm excited about a lot of things that we're doing, but obviously my bias is definitely around the development and journey around the cancer service line. Cancer is complex, and we've recognized that providing the best cancer care requires that we do it around the patient and the patient's cancer, their disease, their specific disease. There is no general cancer care in 2022. And so we really want to design care that is designed for the patients, specifically using the resources and the expertise of all the providers that we already have. So the cancer service line, simply put, is to bring together what I call a freestanding cancer hospital in a matrixed academic medical center, meaning that every time a patient or provider experiences cancer care at UAB, they feel like that is all we do.
It's when that unexpected moment happens. Really, when you don't expect to see something that really happens, when you're witnessing something that seemed impossible at a time. That's exciting, and that's why I do what I do.
What I love about this place is that we never let a patient go without the best care we could offer. And why is that important to me? Because I work in prevention. I don't work in cancer care. I am the one who goes out there and find problems and bring the problems to the cancer center and never ever in 20 years. I gotta know. The physicians, the nurses, everybody come together. Sometimes physicians cooking a meal for that patient who is in chemotherapy, or once a physician took out the money from his wallet and gave it to me to help with gas for a patient. That is what makes this cancer center special. Besides all the research and all the publications and all the grants, are the lives we touch every single day, no matter who they are.
Now, this past year certainly had its ups and downs, but it sounds like the incredible work taking place at the O'Neal Cancer Center continued on. Last year, I had the pleasure of joining the Cancer Center's advisory board, and I've learned so much. I'm so glad that we have this world-class facility right here in our own backyard. Now, I'll turn it over to Dr. Schleckman to introduce this year's ArtBLINK Director's Circle honorees.
Each year, the advisory board of the O'Neal Cancer Center honors a family or person who has helped us make significant inroads in advancing cancer research, getting us closer to our vision of life without cancer. Janie and David Brown have been involved with the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center for more than 10 years. Janie and David's son, Austin, sadly lost his battle with glioblastoma in 2017. Although Austin is no longer with us, Janie and David have continued to honor his memory by supporting critical, cutting-edge brain cancer research here at the O'Neal Cancer Center.
When Austin was diagnosed with cancer, we were at a loss of what can we do? It's such a helpless feeling when someone you love is diagnosed with brain cancer, knowing there's no cure.
We chose to be hopeful, and Dr. Neighbors and the Cancer Center were the source of hope for us. You know, they were our link to the research that gave us hope. But also, you know, he was the doctor that cared for Austin. He was the one that was always there, always available to answer our questions, whether it was about some new treatment we had read about, or whether it was how to deal with the side effects of Austin's treatment, or how to deal with the effects that cancer ultimately began to have on his life. He was the caregiver as well. So in Dr. Neighbors, you know, we saw both the hope of a future and the compassionate care, you know, that you need to survive and live in a life with cancer. I can't imagine that 5 years without the hope that Dr. Neighbors provided and without the care and attention that he gave us during that 5-year period.
What is driving my passion today? We are clearly in a time where we are making significant advances in cancer. When we just look at the therapeutics being developed and the advances in the understanding of the biology, both the molecular and cellular behavior, cancers that in the past, you know, were poorly treated, clearly doing dramatically better. It's been harder in primary brain cancers in trying to discern the true biology of this disease. Significant investments have really allowed us opportunities to develop bodies of data and information that better help us understand this disease and the uniqueness of it. These are ultimately going to lead us to the path where we have interventions that significantly alter the course of the disease. It will preserve neurological function and lead to longevity of life. The professorship that I have is named after William Austin Brown. And Austin was actually a young man when he was diagnosed with a form of primary brain cancer. What's probably not often realized is brain cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer death of young people, meaning those 15 to 40. And there is not a lot of attention placed on the disease. When Austin was diagnosed, his wife Mary Margaret, his parents David and Janie Brown really took an active role in not just the support of him, but also in better understanding what was going on at the O'Neill and what it was that they could do to help us advance that mission. I would really like to thank the Brown family, David, Janie, Mary Margaret, for the support. Without these types of resources, it would really make it a bigger challenge for us to move care as well as research forward for these diseases.
The motivation and inspiration to do everything we did, both in terms of raising funds for the Neuro-Oncology Accelerator Fund as well as the William Austin Brown Endowed Professorship, was found in the approach that Austin took in waging his battle. It was an unselfish attitude about everything he did. He was willing to try anything, and some of it was painful and uncomfortable, but he never gave up trying, and it was not because of how he felt about himself, but it was commitment to his family. And it was just a very unselfish approach to the whole process. When we first launched the Neuro-Oncology Accelerator Fund, we traveled the circuit with Dr. Neighbors and Dr. Partridge, again, who was the director of the Cancer Center at the time. And Dr. Partridge would begin and end every one of his presentations by saying, "We're going to find a cure for cancer. We are going to find a cure for cancer. I'm certain of that." And I believe that. Frankly, I wasn't sure at first, but by the time, I'd heard it several times, he had made me a believer. And so I sit here today as a believer that we will find a cure for cancer. The unknown is, when will that time occur? When will the cure occur? And the variable there is the amount of support that the researchers have at their disposal. And the more support we can provide them, the sooner we'll find that cure.
David and I are humbled to be honorees for this event this year. But the real honorees are you, the donors, our friends, and all the supporters of the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. We appreciate everything you've done and all the support you've given us.
Janie and David, thank you for your commitment to Dr. Neighbors' research and to the O'Neill Cancer Center. Your efforts will have a long-standing impact on brain cancer research and, most importantly, the lives of those impacted by brain cancer in the future. JJ, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks again, Dr. Schleckman. In my time on the board, I've learned about one of the most important aspects of the O'Neill Cancer Center, the Office of Community Outreach and Engagement. The goal of this area of the Cancer Center is to extend the benefits of our facility to every single person in our state, especially those who are medically underserved or in rural areas. Now, the Office of Community Outreach and Engagement is nationally recognized for its work in reducing cancer health disparities, specifically by using what's known as the Community Health Advisor model. And this year, we're celebrating its 25th anniversary. Now let's hear from Claudia Hardy, Director of the Office of Community Outreach and Engagement, to learn more.
My name is Claudia Hardy. I am the Program Director for the Office of Community Outreach and Engagement here at O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. I've been here in the Cancer Center for 23 years, and I'm excited about all of the changes, all of the impact that the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center has had on the lives of so many here in the state and in the Southeast. These 50 years have been 50 years of discoveries. There have been lots of accomplishments over my tenure here, but probably the greatest ones has been the advances we've made regarding screening and the knowledge that we now know that there are 2 cancers in which we now can prevent, that's cervical and colon cancer, but also the screening guidelines and the messaging around them has been some of our greatest accomplishments. But also, I'm real proud of the evolution of the community and the trust that communities all across the state have when it comes to our cancer center. When we mention UAB or the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, how people have the trust in us and how they know that this is the place they need to be when they're really sick It has just really made me proud to know that I work at an institution that but more important, not only do I just work here, I'm able to connect and link, be that bridge that many people need that otherwise would not have it. I honestly say that I was born to do this work. Not often do you get to do work professionally in communities where you grew up. And so not only do you understand what's on the surface, but you also get to really understand the heart of the people. And I can't tell you the number of testimonials that I've heard from people who've said that the doctors here have saved their lives, or the doctors here have given them just a few more months and a few more years with their loved ones. And for that, it just really makes me proud to know that I'm a part of that. The future for the Cancer Center is just without boundaries, and I think is limitless. I'm really excited because I know that there's going to be a new hospital where we can have all of this health care, everything under one roof. And so it's going to be a lot easier for us, as we're the face of the community and representing O'Neill in a lot of different capacities, to be able to say, to pull up to the front door of our new hospital if they ever need our services. So there ain't no stopping us now. This O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center is going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to Alabama. So I just want to take this moment to really say thank you. I want to thank the communities for being receptive to not just me personally, but O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, our CHAs, our staff, our community coordinators. Congratulations on 50 years. I'm so excited to have been a part of almost half of those 50 years. And so I know I started as a mere infant, but I'm excited. Congratulations. And I still say the best is yet to come.
Thank you to Claudia and her team for carrying out this meaningful and necessary work. Now let's check in on the artists and see how their pieces are coming together.
My name is Ahmad Austin. I'm an artist here in Birmingham City. I am an art teacher as well. I teach at Hoover High School. I've been teaching about 20 years now, 10 in Birmingham City Schools and 10 at Hoover City Schools. I teach at a school that sports is a big deal. So a lot of kids are kind of left out in the sports arena, and a lot of them try to find their niche or find their area that they have an interest in. And me being an art teacher, I kind of get some of those students to kind of gravitate to being creative. And they don't have to be just drawing, but just having an open mind to create certain things, whether it's drawing, painting, or writing, or music, or so forth. So the biggest thing is trying to inspire kids to create more than anything. And let them know that it's okay to create, because a lot of them are a little nervous, they're scared, and I hear a lot of, I can't do this, I can't do this. I'm like, yes you can, just kind of relax and just try it. And I think by the end of the year, they're kind of comfortable with it. I'm known around town for doing jazz musicians. I kind of have my own style. I paint with a palette knife. I love painting with a palette knife. I love the texture that it creates. I love just how it feels when you're layering the palette knife onto the canvas. I love the scraping sound from it. I know that sounds crazy, but I love all that. But anyway, I paint jazz musicians. I've been painting that for a long time now. I'm kind of known for having my musicians with square heads or block heads. My piece is just using two colors. I'm using kind of like a monochromatic style, with just using one color, which is blue, and a white background. My main goal is to have a lot of movement and a lot of bold colors within my painting. A lot of people say it makes them feel happy when they see my paintings. I feel like they got a piece of me, when they buy one of my works.
Hi, I'm Sarah Mason. I started painting about 7-8 years ago now, I think. And I was at a point in my life where I had gone through some difficult things, and I was using artist therapy for myself and realized, okay, whoa, like this is something I love and people are responding really well to it. So I think I'm gonna try to do an art show, and that's kind of where it all started. I realized quickly that I was in love with watercolor and have stuck with that primarily, from the beginning. And that medium to me is the most fluid. It kind of takes on its own idea when you're doing a painting. It just moves around on the canvas. It does what it wants to do. And I love that because Technically, I'm not totally in control of it. So I start with an idea and then it does what it wants to do. I can leave the room and come back and it looks different, which I think is cool. When I started with the landscapes, I realized that was kind of an area that I could pull from my childhood. I grew up in Wyoming. I was around the mountains all the time, and I still have those scenes in my mind to this day. And the watercolor paint actually mimics the sky, the way that you see reflections in lakes and ponds and rivers, and that was kind of my childhood experience, seeing those scenes. So today I'm just painting something that I've been doing a series of over the past several weeks and months, and I just wanted to keep things going, keep the momentum going with that series and not changing anything. It's called Earth and Stone, so it's a lot of natural colors, blues and browns, and it's something that I think is versatile that would go in anyone's home. Over the years, I've had people tell me, you're painting doorways, you're painting into an emotional space for them. And I think a lot of that, it's a lot of energy, and I want people to feel an energy when they look at the painting and they sense the color and the layout of it. That's a really cool experience to have with these people, and that's my hope, is that when they see my art, they're feeling something.
I'm Natalie Zogby, and I'm a visual artist from Birmingham, Alabama, and I've been participating in ArtBLINK for the last 4 years. I've been an artist my whole life. I've always painted, and over the last few years, especially during the pandemic, my artwork has changed, and I've started doing portraits of influential women, especially during 2020. The collection included portraits of Dolly Parton, Stacey Abrams, Amanda Gorman, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and a lot of other just amazing women that had a profound effect on society as a whole during 2020. Most of my work uses bright colors, glitter, and jewels. I like to bring a lot of fun and enthusiasm to the portraits that I create, especially when they usually broach on really heavy topics that can be intense for a lot of people. I still like to highlight the work that these amazing women are doing, but bring some fun and sparkle to it. My husband will tell you that there is no part of our house that is unglittered, not even a tiny inch of the floor. All of our shoes have glitter in them. Today I am painting Dolly Parton holding a kitten with a rainbow background. I have decided to just truly embrace all of the glitter and all of the bright colors that I really enjoy. It started out with an original photo of her. I digitally traced it and then I projected it onto my canvas. From there, I will paint everything out, and then once it's dry, I add glitter and jewels. And it's very much like you would glitter something in elementary school, where you cover it in glue and then you sprinkle so much glitter on top of it and let it dry and then just pour it off. So glitter gets everywhere. I'm just so honored to support and participate in ArtBLINK every year. Cancer has affected so many people in my lives. It's taken my grandparents. It's taken, my biological mother. And so, this is just such an important organization, and they provide so many people and so many families with treatments and opportunities that they would otherwise not be available.
My name is Carol Bandy Carson. I'm a visual artist from Opelika, Alabama. I paint primarily from vintage photos of primarily African Americans, primarily women and children. When I was a little girl, my great-grandmother had this box full of photographs, and every time I go to her house, she'd let me take them out and spread them out and look at them and ask questions, and there were like these very wonderful photos of her from the 1920s. She was born in 1899, and so I have photos of her from the 1920s wearing the whole flapper garb, and I've just been obsessed with old black and white photos ever since. And so I work from those, and then I add color. I don't know if it's a process or if it's a feeling. I do a little bit of research. Like if it's an old photo from the 1950s, I like to see what they wore in the 1950s, what colors were popular during that time, and then I kind of come up with the colors based on that. I think I have maybe 1,500 photographs saved on Pinterest. And I sit there and I stare at them and wonder, who are these people? Where did they live? What did they do? What was their favorite food? What was their favorite color? Were they poor? Were they rich? Were they married? So it's so many questions that, you can look at one photograph and come up with a million different questions, and I try to answer them with my work. What you're gonna see me paint today is a woman and child standing in a field. Now, lately I've been kind of obsessed with cotton, and I know that it's a difficult subject, especially for African Americans, but this is my attempt to make peace with it. There's got to be some love, some happiness, some joy, even when we look at these photographs. So I'm trying to find that joy and happiness in the old photos.
My name is Gary Chapman, and I'm an artist and a professor of painting and drawing at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I am an oil painter, and my work takes months to complete, so it was tricky for me to find a process that I could fit into this time. I've always done charcoal drawing on the side, and I suddenly realized I had a process and a thing that I could do in the time constraints of the project. So I'll be doing a charcoal drawing on a prepared panel. It'll be fixed and varnished, so it'll be totally archival. I've devised a way that I can create three-point perspective, and I'll do a series of lines that vary in size and width, and it creates a sort of architectural kind of format. So there's a lot of push and pull, a lot of space created between the background, the midground, and the foreground. I'll also roll a little charcoal onto it to create some atmosphere. I try to create provocative work, provocative meaning that you come to the work, you bring your baggage to it, and there's some sort of dialogue, hopefully, that happens between the viewer and the piece. They tend to be rather dense works, and so I liken the process of viewing a work like a group traveling through the forest, and they break off and go in different directions. We all see trees and leaves and grass and rocks, but some people find a dead bird and somebody finds a waterfall. And so while we have a sort of mutual experience, we also have a distinctly personal experience. So my work is layered with lots of symbols and metaphors for my own experiences, and I hope that they are universal enough that a person can engage in the conversation, whether they actually have the exact same ideas or feelings or opinions that I do. I think it's open enough that they can be a part of the conversation from their own perspective.
I am Carrie Pittman Hill. I am from Birmingham. I grew up in Birmingham, and I have been painting for about 8 years. Kind of left the business world to pursue my passion in art. I have created for you tonight a kind of a calm, soothing, abstract. If you'll look closely at the painting, the edges are kind of left white, and the mossy green I chose as kind of a soothing color and also a rich color. There's a lot of depth in this painting. My hope and prayer is that people would respond to my work in reflection, that they would look and reflect on themselves, reflect on their life, on their day, on an experience, that they would dig deeper. Also that it would just leave them feeling, like I said, hopeful, feeling peaceful.
Hi, my name is Gina Hurry.
I am a studio artist here in Birmingham, Alabama. The painting that I am painting today is just one of my angel paintings. I thought that it would be a good representation of that message of hope, and I'm just going to call it Never Alone, and just in the sense that I pray that it speaks to you that you're never alone in your journey, and though life is full of loss and it is hard to be here in this world, that we're never alone.
Now don't forget to text ArtBLINK to 72727 to bid on one of these beautiful pieces. We've heard about all that is currently going on in the Cancer Center. Now let's take a moment to learn where it all began.
The 50-year journey for UAB and the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center has been remarkable. I came to UAB in 1969 as a medical student, and we didn't really have a designated cancer center. Cancer care in the state of Alabama was fragmented, to say the least. In 1969, if you walked in with a cancer diagnosis, you were more likely to die from that disease than actually survive the disease. Completely opposite today. That's the impact of 50 years of scientific progress. The concept of the cancer centers, NCI designated cancer centers, is about 50 years old, just like we are. NCI, National Cancer Institute designation is really a big deal. It means that you are providing exceptionally high quality basic research, clinical research and clinical care, and work in cancer prevention and early detection. The citizens of Alabama should be pretty proud that they have such a center located in their state. I think the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center has been at the vanguard of work in eliminating cancer disparities. You know, it's really amazing. I've been here 50 years. I've seen the growth that's occurred here. I just want to say congratulations to the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center. Its accomplishments in the past, its accomplishments right now, today, and what we can expect in the future. Great things, maybe even a world where cancer is non-existent. Welcome, everyone. Volunteers are incredibly important for our O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center, and tonight we'll be talking to several of those volunteers about their experience with the Cancer Center. We have Lee Edwards with us now. Lee is the current president of the advisory board of the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you.
What makes you continue to be so motivated to support the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center?
Well, I really believe in the mission. I think that the mission of the O'Neal Cancer Center is really vital to Birmingham and to Central Alabama. And I really think that we need to continue to grow the campus and to provide the services to provide the best cancer care we can. And I think encouraging people to take advantage of the O'Neal Cancer Center in Birmingham as well as Central Alabama is vital. And anything I can do to encourage people to do that and to make it a better cancer center is really important. And I really think that that's something that I can give back to the Cancer Center.
Well, it really is an amazing institution. So you get the same level of care here without leaving the state as you could get at any other NCI designated comprehensive cancer center across the United States, and we really appreciate your support.
Well, I think that's very important, and having been a cancer survivor myself, I understand how important that is, and to really make the O'Neal Cancer Center one of the greatest in the Southeast, and that people can get that cancer care right here in Birmingham.
So Lee, you're president of the advisory board now. What would you like to say to our supporters and sponsors and those that have given to us in the past and will in the future?
I would say that none of this happens without support. And the support of the community comes in a lot of ways. It's monetary support, it's the people who support by going and visiting, by doing all the outreach that we do, but without community support, the mission of the Cancer Center would not be nearly as successful as it is.
Well, as a former director, I know that the support that we get from the public is the difference maker. If you don't have that flexible dollars to do your programmatic activities with the center, it's just never going to be the kind of place that it is now. We can't maintain it without the public support. So thank you for your support.
There's no doubt, because research doesn't happen, the care doesn't happen, the growth doesn't happen without that support.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Lee. And next we'll have Mitzi Davis and Tricia Dotson from the board.
Thank you.
What got y'all involved with the advisory board of the O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center?
My mother had ovarian cancer, and a good friend of mine was serving as president of the board, Jeannie McKenzie, and I had told her about my feelings about the cancer that my mother had, and she said, you really need to get involved with the Cancer Center. And I met with you and Jeannie, and the rest is history.
Good. Tricia.
I first became involved because a bit over 20 years ago, two of my good friends and I were all diagnosed with cancer within a couple of months of each other. And ultimately, all three of us have served on the board at various times, and we are all still participating in one way or another.
Why do either one of you think that ArtBLINK has been so successful over our last 10, 12 years?
I think it's because we have the ability to tell our donors what we do with the money, and you can see that you, no matter how small or large your gift is, can make a difference in whether a doctor gets a clinical trial. If you even, the smallest gift could make the difference of somebody getting treatment at UAB, O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center.
I think there's no escaping cancer, be it a family member, a friend, an acquaintance. It affects everyone, and I think that Birmingham community and beyond, it's a very generous city, and I think that there's been a realization of the importance of having a comprehensive cancer center here to provide the care that the people of Alabama really are deserving of, to have a state-of-the-art facility. So I think it touches people to want to give.
This is actually the 50th anniversary of the National Cancer Institute deciding to fund comprehensive cancer centers. And I recently participated in helping to write a book that talks about that history. And to think that we are right here at the same time having our 50th anniversary just confirms the fact that we were at the beginning. So we want to thank all of you for supporting our cancer center through 50 years, half a century of support, and we thank you.
It is truly amazing to see the progress that has been made over the last 50 years. Before we see what the O'Neal Cancer Center has in store for the future, let's check in with our artist one last time.
My name is Tom Finley, but I pen my work Thomas Andrew. So in the art world, that's what I'm known for, or known as Thomas Andrew. And I'm a painter. I do 2D work on canvas. I've been painting professionally since 2004. I have a gallery here in Birmingham, but I travel a good bit doing art shows all over the country. And I love what I do. I've been involved with the Cancer Center and ArtBLINK, gosh, I don't even know. The piece I'm working on today is a series that I started about 10 years ago. So it's a collection, and it's a boat very much to itself with a lot of negative space. And it started out of something I actually saw when I was in Sarasota, Florida, having coffee with my father one morning, and it was morning time, the fog was burning off, so you really couldn't see where the sky stopped and the ocean started. It all kind of blended together, and it was so beautiful. And as my father gets older, I do realize those moments are precious. So I came home and I started on this series, and again, it's a very simple image, but one that's very heartfelt and very meaningful, and so it's a special piece.
I am Carol Carmichael, and I'm an oil painter, and I've been painting professionally for about 20 years. I was an art teacher and right out of college. I went to Birmingham Southern, and then I taught art at Homewood High School for 4 years before I had kids. I paint with oils, and I paint a variety of subject matter. Tonight I'm going to paint a still life. I do a lot of shows in the Southeast, and a thing I hear a lot is that people think my artwork is pretty soothing. I think part of it's the colors that I use, part of it's just the subject matter that I paint and the way I paint it and loose brush strokes. So I hear a lot of times that people just come in front of my booth and they say, this is just really calming and soothing. So I mean, that makes me happy to think it makes people kind of relax and they're happy when they look at my artwork. I feel pretty strongly about supporting the Comprehensive Cancer Center because it's just, I don't really have any personal family that have, benefited from the Cancer Center, but I have a lot of friends that have, and I know my day may be tomorrow, and I love that I can share my talent and raise money for the center and help those people, help research and help the people, the families that are going through this, and it's a fun way for me to share my talent and to make some money to maybe help others.
My name is Sally Boyd, and I am from Birmingham. I was an art major at the University of Alabama and at UAB, trying to find my way, and luckily I found painting. I am a cancer survivor, and I probably never would have done ArtBLINK had I not been through that experience. This gives me a way to help in the research and give back to the medical community. Today I'm making something with wax, encaustic wax. It's a process using heated wax. You don't know what the end product's gonna be, and you put the fire to it, and it does what it's gonna do, and then you have the final product. And sometimes I feel like this is the fun part for me. It's not for the customer or the client. It's actually creating just to create. It's lots of fun.
My name is Michael Swan. I'm an artist here in town. I work in a variety of mediums, oil painting, printmaking, but what I'm most known for is being a pinstriper. I pinstripe on motorcycles and hot rods and the like. And today, the piece I've created is a pinstriping piece just on metal panels. And it's just something that I improvise as I go along. I use this small brush here, which is a little different than most artist brushes. It's shaped like a sword, which is why it's called a sword striper. It holds a lot of paint. And these brushes have a certain vocabulary of strokes that they're good at. And so just based on those moves, I create a design. When you create a design like that, a lot of things will come into play. If it's a vehicle, it would be the shape of the panel, the body panel. A situation like this, where it's two rectangular panels, I just kind of use that and try to do something that would complement that space. I love doing it. I mean, it's art in general. I mean, it's just something that, most people are compelled to do. That's a feeling that can't be described, and it's just really joyous.
Hi, I am Morgan Jones Johnston, and I am a full-time working artist. I have been painting my whole life. My art is a meditation on the place where life and death meet, expression leaning into something more intuitive, and mark making with painting is kind of a physical process. So during the pandemic, painting became this safe place for me and a refuge and a way to make sense of a time that just makes no sense at all. So today I get the unique challenge of being limited in time to create, a nice sizable piece. It's going to be 36 by 48 inches. Today is really one of my more physical practices, an intuitive practice where I really ground myself in the space, the movement, the textures. I don't always know where that's going to lead, but it's always this really beautiful journey, and I really am excited to share it with you. It is such a profound honor to be able to work with the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center this year as part of ArtBLINK because it connects me directly as an artist to the sciences. So to be able to bring something that can seem kind of up in the clouds down in a very tangible way, partnering with something that is going to make such a huge difference in lives, that's a really unique and special opportunity for me.
You know, the notion to me of, oh, I don't know what I'm going to paint doesn't really happen because I know I'm going to paint something and I know I'm going to show up every day. And that's a huge part of life. And it's a huge part of me and my process is the discipline and the routine of being here. Not only has my process evolved, but also the quality of what I make has evolved because I'm here every day and I learn from both my successes and my failures. And that's how I've begun to live my life in a much more intentional way. You know, really rejoicing in, what you have and what you can give to other people. So. As I say, I don't like to call myself disabled, but I am, physically limited in a way that I wasn't 7 or 8 years ago when I had what I call a neurological event. But really what that was is a very significant brain hemorrhage, a bleed in my brain that happened driving to work one day. So it was completely out of the blue. I was very fit. I think it's kind of like, what a lot of people experience when they get a cancer diagnosis out of the blue. It's like, and it's not like a why me. It's just, wow, what has happened here? Because it's such a shock, I think, to so many people because both our bodies and our health we kind of take for granted until something happens. Fortunately for me, I had the outlet of my art to, continue to do something that was normal. That is that I was doing before, that I'm continuing to do now, and actually that I do more of now because of the freedom that this, in an ironic way, the freedom that this limitation gives me. And a lot of my process it's not necessarily accidental because there is intention to it, but I don't necessarily start with a specific idea in mind, but the colors and the overlay of colors and the building up of colors so that you see through almost a sandwich of glass or rather than just one saturated base color. It's built up like stained glass almost. To me, ArtBLINK is a celebration. And it's a celebration of the work done at the Comprehensive Cancer Center. It's a celebration of the people who were treated there. It's a celebration of their families, and it's a celebration of art and our community as well. People coming together for a common cause to do something good together. And that's what I think ArtBLINK really stands for.
Many thanks to all of the artists participating. Now, you've helped make ArtBLINK one of the most fun and unique events in town for many years. Not only that, but you've also helped raise thousands of dollars for cancer research. And thanks to everyone who's bidding right now. You've seen all the masterpieces tonight, so decide on something that you love and be sure to get your bids in by 10 o'clock tonight. Be sure to also check out the Instabuy section on Qtego for some additional pieces of art available for purchase. Tonight, we've heard about the many great accomplishments made at the O'Neill over the past 50 years and what the O'Neill is currently working on. Let's now hear what the future holds.
I am very enthusiastic about the next 50 years of the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. We have the best talent in Dr. Schleckman as the leader of our cancer programs, and I know that we will continue to excel in all of our missions, in our mission of research and discovery, in our mission of providing the best and most contemporary clinical care, and in our mission of training the best talent that not only supports the care that we provide here at UAB, but that goes out into our communities and supports cancer care across our state. We have a big mission at the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, and it is important that we all keep our focus on the fact that the NCI designation expects us to not only transform cancer care here at UAB, but across our state. Our impact is not just one that stays in Birmingham, but one that truly impacts cancer across an entire community of people in Alabama.
I see potential for tremendous growth across all of the missions of the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. With respect to education and training, we are working on building a pathway that allows us to lead our high school students and steer them towards our cancer biology undergraduate major, and then from there to pursue a PhD in cancer biology, all here at UAB. And this would be another first of its kind here in the country, and the first that any comprehensive cancer center would have done in the United States. So with respect to that, we are moving towards grounds that are uncharted, exciting, and fulfilling.
As I reflect in our future as a cancer center, I don't think it could be brighter, because we do not focus only on research or clinical care. We have a commitment to the communities in social mobilization and education and prevention, and an open door that everybody is welcome at our cancer center, and we will help anybody who comes through the door. Not many cancer centers have that vision of partnering with private and nonprofit organizations to work in that mission, not worrying about who is going to take the credit. Today, we are working very hard toward eliminating cervical cancer as a public health problem in the world. We work at the Cancer Center for the cure of cancer, but we also have the responsibility of preventing cancer. So we have already challenged Sri Lanka to be the first country to eliminate cervical cancer as a public health problem, and they are way on their way of doing so. And next is Alabama, because we have the highest cervical cancer mortality in the country. And I think we can do it, and I think we can see the end of this disease in my lifetime.
You know, I mean, really, I just love what I do. I don't know, I don't know how to really describe that in particular words. I love the challenge, right? There's a huge, to me, there is an opportunity here, an amazing opportunity in this community to improve cancer care and cancer prevention. And like any opportunity, there's a reason it's an opportunity and not a reality. And those reasons are the challenges. And I think that all of those challenges can be met in the next 10 years.
Wow, That is exciting news. I can't wait to see all of this come to fruition. We have one final story to share with you tonight that will hopefully bring you insight into the true personal impact clinical trials can have.
In July of 2019, Debbie and I were on family vacation. Had the grandkids and we had a nice dinner, and I went to sign my ticket to pay for dinner, and my whole body locked up. And my first thought was, I thought I had a stroke. And I said, Debbie, I got to get back to Birmingham. You know, my speech was slurring. My fine motor skills were impaired. So quickly got to Birmingham, went through tests for a couple weeks, and Dr. Neighbors diagnosed that I have CNS lymphoma, that's central nervous system lymphoma. I had 2 brain tumors. Yeah, we were really scared. But after spending more time with Dr. Neighbors and understanding, you know, his knowledge, you know, and his confidence in outcomes, he couldn't guarantee any outcome, but he had a lot of confidence about the right protocol and about what we were facing. And he painted a realistic picture for our family, for Debbie and I, and we were hoping for the best.
One thing that I was so impressed with Dr. Neighbors with his position and his knowledge and his research, he always had time for you. That was very refreshing. He had time to, you know, talk a little bit personally, find out how you were feeling, and find out what was going through your, you know, your mind and your families. And he engaged in the whole family, and that was very impressive to me.
The clinical trial was introduced by Dr. Neighbors. He said, you may qualify for this. This is a joint relationship with Sloan Kettering. And it's a drug that really enables the chemotherapy, the bad chemo, to get out of my body, to push that out of my body. And so we studied it. It was approved by FDA. It was a UK company that had this drug. And I was part of the trial, and specifically I was the 7th patient in the United States to have this drug. And really, it helped me get out of the hospital center. It helped me get the bad chemo out of my body to get me back home to have a normal quality of life. Those that are willing to participate in clinical trials, you know, are helping patients over the next generation or two. The faster we understand outcomes from procedures, therapies, treatments, the better we can really perhaps cure cancer. And I think that's just part of our obligation as patients to help the institution, who is a leading institution in cancer research, find a cure at a sooner rate, at a faster rate. So I think the participation in trials is important. It's almost an obligation that I see as a patient.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2003. I had just turned 43. My feeling then was, if I could just live to see my children graduate from high school, that for a mother, that is just the number one thing, to be able to fill that position until they're out on their own. And here we get put in the same position in a different way at CP. Here we would love to see our grandchildren and see them grow up. And I think UAB, O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, has afforded us that luxury, really, that not everybody gets to have, that we're seeing our grandchildren now, and no one knows what tomorrow holds, but I think we've been incredibly blessed, and I have just been able to enjoy these children, and I am so thankful.
We would not be here today without the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. What UAB has done and what Dr. Neighbors has done is to give us the opportunity to really help others, not only help our family, but help others over the next, hopefully, 20, 30 years, So thank you, Dr. Neighbors. What you've done is generational, not only for our family, it's generational for all the families that you touch and all the families that are touched by O'Neal Comprehensive Cancer Center. So thank you very much.
For everyone watching, if you haven't already made a gift, or if you get outbid on your favorite piece of artwork tonight, don't fret. There's still time to give. Every single dollar counts. By making a donation, you're contributing to the incredible work you've heard about tonight. Remember, to make a donation, bid or buy artwork, you have to register by texting ArtBLINK to 72727. Dr. Schleckman, congratulations to you and everyone at the O'Neal Cancer Center on these accomplishments. You're truly making a difference in the lives of many people across our state. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the O'Neal Cancer Center, UAB, and Birmingham. Please remember that the art auction will close at 10 o'clock tonight. Now, if you are the lucky winner of some of this amazing art, or you've purchased an Insta-Buy gallery piece, someone from the Cancer Center will reach out to you to provide any additional instructions after the auction closes. We raise a glass to all of you for participating and supporting this incredible cause as we celebrate 50 years past and 50 years forward. Enjoy the rest of your night. Salud. First time I've ever tasted it.
Feet on the floor.
I got nervous.
I felt nervous.
Great.
Remember, no, the hands are fine. Hold it into the camera as long as possible after that last
Hold
word.
it together, Susie.
Hold it
together.
See, I'm half Italian, half Spanish, and a Brazilian. Do you think I sit still? It's against my DNA.
There's not one thing we haven't talked about. I'm exhausted. Do you want me to talk or paint?
I'd like to take this moment to congratulate everybody at the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center on great success in the past 50 years. Onward and upward.
So I'd like to congratulate UAB and the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center for 50 wonderful years, and looking towards the future, I know that the future here is going to be just like a proton, very, very positive.
Congratulations to the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. I could not have chosen a better place to build my career.
I want to extend my heartiest congratulations to the O'Neill in its 50th year anniversary. I know it's going to go even farther in the next 50 years.
So congratulations to the O'Neill for 50 wonderful years, and thank you to all the wonderful people who make this such a great place to come and work every day.
I'd like to thank our community for its support of the O'Neill Cancer Center over the past 50 years. It's such a privilege to be one of the first designated comprehensive cancer centers, but that privilege is only possible by the immense support of our community, not only here in Birmingham, but across the state, and of course, all of the talent and the experts that have come before us in these 50 years and that will come after us in the next 50 years. So it is a tremendous privilege to be a part of the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center and to know that what we're doing today will be a legacy for the future of cancer care in Alabama.
This is a unique opportunity for us to congratulate the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center on 50 years. This organization has meant a tremendous amount to UAB, to our state, and to our regions. And more importantly, it's meant discoveries and care for our citizens. Congratulations again on 50 years. It's something for us all to be proud of, and our nation to take notice of the impact that we have had and will have on our citizens in Alabama and the Deep South.